That's it.
We live, Dr. Kasonso. Can you start, please?
Okay. Okay, well, viewers, welcome to TVBakwetu One-on-One with Dr. Kasonso. My name is Jones Kasonso. On this program, we usually discuss current issues in business and finance with a focus on Zambia. And here on TVBakwetu, we monitored the performance of the kwacha. The close of business today, the US dollar to the kwacha was buying at 16 kwacha 98 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 3 ngwe. The GB pound was buying at 20 kwacha 79 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 84 ngwe. The euro was buying at 17 kwacha and 17 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha and 76 ngwe. The South African rand was buying at 1 kwacha and 4 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha and 5 ngwe. The kwacha clearly has once more posted gains and appreciated marginally above the rates obtaining in the last 2 months. Clearly, there is something that is positive that is going on at the Bank of Zambia in terms of the management of the currency, and let's also generally say something positive about the movement of commerce in and out of the Republic of Zambia. The kwacha continues to hold relatively strong against all major currencies. Yes, my friend is here today, Mr. Chilufya. Please greet the audience before we dive into the topic of today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kasonso, for that. On TVBakwetu, we do things differently. Today, Dr. Kasonso, she is the one who is introducing the program. He's my program partner. My name is Patrick Chilufya, and I'm hosting you from the UK. Today, we're going to continue with our usual topic of business development, but today we're going to focus on the mining sector, and specifically mining sector in Zambia. Dr. Kasonso, good afternoon.
Mr. Chilufya, I think you are fading, and yeah, my colleague is fading.
No, can you hear me? Good afternoon, Dr. Kasonso.
Yes, you were fading, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody can hear you right.
Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Now you're clear. Yeah, and I can now. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I was saying, today we're going to talk about the mining sector, business development in the mining sector, focusing on Zambia. And before we start, can you please share this program? It's going to be a very important program. We're going to allow our viewers to ask questions, and then we're going to have also people who come as panelists. They're now sitting in the background. You'll be allowed to come in when the question time comes, and I'm going to share the link if any one of you wants to come and be a panelist, when the question time comes. Dr. Kasonso, let's dive into the questions concerning the business development in mining sector. What are the business versus political consideration of mining in Zambia?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chilufya. Actually, we have to say this openly. The politics of Zambia starts and ends with the mines. It is in the mines that our parents learned to organize themselves as an economic interest group, as a thriving and most important economic interest group. And in those days, usually they were just workers in the mines, and they organize themselves in terms of unions. So what they want to do is to be getting the right pay for the amount of work they are getting and the excellent conditions of service, so that they continue working for the mining. So that is what usually happened. So there is an overlap. That's what I'm trying to say here. The overlap is the politics of the people originally in the nation of Zambia bordered on the influence of the people in the mines. And a situation that was happening in the people in mines also influenced the politics across the nation. From the founding of this country, the largest workforce has been in the civil service. But the single largest block of homogeneous workforce has always been in the mining sector. So the political influence of the mines cuts across the nation, and even influences practices in the civil service and cuts across the nation. But for the mines to survive, Mr. Chilufya, they must be run in a manner that is business savvy. The mines to survive, they must be run in a manner that is business savvy. Historically, the mines were in private hands, and then government took over the mines due to these political considerations that we're discussing today. And then what happened thereafter is that there was a combination of the methodologies that are going to be used in the private sector and the methodologies that are going to be used in the public sector. So that is how the mines were run historically. And then at some point, because mining business, the product from the mines is not sold on any of the Zambian markets. It's sold overseas. And because it's sold overseas, the control over the price of the product, over the supply chain and standards expected, the conditions of the product before it is sold there, are determined by the market forces in the global economy. So to the extent that anybody, whether private or government, is running the mines, can produce a product that can meet the standards on the global stage, then the mines will thrive. And the more product they take there, the more prosperity comes to the Republic of Zambia. All of us, we know that once the government took over the mines took care of everything in the country. The mines were the primary revenues from which we built schools, hospitals, roads, and maintained a lot of things in the country. The mines were the primary external revenue generator for the Republic of Zambia for the longest time. So most of our education was paid for by the mines, the work from the mines, or the revenues from the mines. So what are the business and political considerations, or business versus political considerations on mines? The business considerations is that to the extent that the mines are thriving, the politics of Zambia will be calm and constructive. And to the extent that the mines were not thriving, or there were problems with the mines, it led to a lot of mayhem and social problems across the country. There were problems in the education systems, there were problems in security, there were problems in governance, and there were problems everywhere. And even though 30 years on from the time when the government, more than 30 years on, from the time when the government owned, maybe we might even say more than 40 years on, from the time the government owned the mines, we find ourselves in a situation where the mines in the Republic of Zambia are playing a very insignificant role in the economy of the country. And for this reason, we have mass unemployment. We have problems funding our social programs. We have problems dealing with very fundamental social issues in the country. Why? Because the contribution of the mines have gone so low that the people in the country are not able to realize any benefit. So the actual business versus political considerations in today's Zambia is a question on every Zambian mind. And the question is, how can today's minds contribute to this country the way life used to be in the past? I must warn that we can't bring back the old good days when the mines were the only and mainstay of the country. That time has passed. But surely, should the mines just be for the benefit solely of foreign stakeholders? And that is the question we bring today, because that is the question that everybody in the Republic of Zambia is asking. What can the Zambian people get out of the mines today? And what is possible? What can we, for lack of a better word, what can we salvage out of the current situation to make sure that the mines that God gave us before even the founding of the Republic can be able to contribute something to the well-being of its people? The mines were not just for a job. So I am always disgusted when an investor tries to mention jobs as a benefit to the Zambian people. A job is not a benefit. People who are going to work are sweating for that company. The benefits were usually outside the realm of employment. They were in the supply chain of the mines because it created other jobs. But we understand in today's Zambia that today's mines have very short supply chains that are benefiting anything or anybody in the Republic of Zambia. So how can we restructure this, or what is possible for us to get out of the Republic of Zambia? That is a question we bring to this show today. Thank you, Mr. Chilufya.
Now, Dr. Kasonso, you've talked about something very important, mines, and not just for jobs, because I've heard Vedanta saying they're going to create more jobs. I've heard about Kansanshi, quantum. They are saying they're going to create more jobs. But when you look at these jobs, they are meager jobs. They don't pay them well. They bring expatriates, some of them, most of them engineers, and we've got engineers in Zambia. And then I've heard Kansanshi, they are so notorious that they even group spanners together, and then they import as capital equipment, which means they are cutting off Zambian supplier. Because if you look at the copper belt, you're right. All those companies in Kitwe, I grew up in Kitwe, in the industrial area of Kitwe. They were all in one way or the other trading with the mines, supplying. But there's nothing going on now. So, Bakasonso, look at the Botswana formula, 50-50. And when they sell the diamonds in Botswana, 50% of the revenue comes to Botswana. And all the supplies except heavy capital equipment are imported. Bakasonso, what are we gonna do with the present mining situation? Because these minerals, they belong to Zambians. And these minerals are very important, especially where we are going now, looking at everything is going to become electric cars. Scotland has already passed a law, 2040, which is how many years from now? 18 years from now. It will be electric cars. And you know the minerals for electric cars are in Congo and Zambia. So why should the foreigners, because obviously these mines don't belong to us. We've got 22% or so, but most of the money will be going abroad. What can we do? You know, at least in Botswana, Dr. Kasonso, the government is sponsoring students from nursery to grade to high school, and from high school to university. Some Botswanans are even doing PhDs, being sponsored by the government because of the revenue from the diamonds. What can we do, Kasonso, to?
Mr. Chilufya, that is the problem we have. I think substantively for the last 40 years, we 40 years in the Republic of Zambia, and in relationship to the mines, we have had a problem with government. The problem has not been the mines. The problem has been the government. We have put people in the government that don't understand the business of the mines and the contribution of the mines to the Zambian people in the long term. That's the first problem we've had. Because I don't understand the contracts they drew up where a foreign company comes in Zambia and buys a mine at a certain price. And then whatever they dig out of there is theirs, and the government can say nothing about it. I don't understand the business acumen of that. I don't understand which schools of business those men who are making decisions on behalf of our country graduated from. You know, so the main problem we have, Mr. Chilufya, is very, very basic. We have people in the governance of our country in the past who don't understand the business of mining and how to draw up the contracts that can benefit both the investor and the people they're finding. Let me give you a practical example. The biggest company in all of Zambia by revenue is the First Quantum Minerals. First Quantum Minerals has several projects around Zambia, but predominantly they have two. In Solwezi, there was one they call Lumwana, but in their documents they call it by a Western name called Sentinel. And they also have another one called
Kansanshi.
Kansanshi. So this company, take this company 6 years back. I have their financial statements in front of me. If you want me, I can give you some numbers from there. This company just years ago, those were the prime investments that they made, and that's the prime investments that they had And that company, First Quantum Minerals, was a nothing and a nobody company anywhere. But today, that company is somewhere on the map because of those two investments. And why? Because they signed contracts that gave them exclusive rights to whatever they were digging in those Kaonde villages, Kumujikubankamba. Okay? So, and at the time when 85% of their portfolio were just the Zambian mines, their balance sheet totals were equivalent to the GDP of Zambia. That is when, before this government that we have just ousted, that auctioned the nation to just borrowing, drinking and borrowing. That's before that. If you look at their portfolio today, they have used their investments wisely. They have used their investments wisely. Why? Because whatever they've gotten out of Zambia, now they went and bought other properties, mines, in South Korea. And they have gone and purchased also, with the 85% of their portfolio that they originally had only in Zambia, they have also gone and purchased another heavy, expensive investment in Panama. Now, if you study those portfolios and what they own from there, both the one in Korea and the one in Panama, they own only 50%. But their portfolios in Zambia, they own more than 80%, maybe 85%.
So why should we allow investors to own 50% in our country? Because it doesn't happen anywhere, not even in Chile. Why can't we revisit
in Panama,
that?
In Panama, they are at 50% ownership. In Korea, where they've gone and used Zambian money, Zambian minerals to purchase those things, they're at 50%. And those are big. They are going to be bigger. Hopefully, they generate a lot of money out of that. So what I'm trying to say here is that I feel a little bit optimistic, Mr. Chilufya, about the current administration, because obviously the president is from my field as a chief executive officer of accountants. I know that at some point when they're dealing with him, he's going to be able to punch a calculator. He's going to be able to read the numbers. So from the largest company that we have in Zambia, all we are being told is, oh, they are creating jobs, but jobs we used to have from the mines, we didn't see benefit as job. We used to have soccer teams, we used to have roads, we used to have schools and universities all funded from the mines. And in fact, we even funded the independence of the entire Central Africa from our mines. So we funded even the liberation of other countries from that. And so there is a lot of money out of there that Zambia does not have access to because of the terrible investment agreements that they made with our colleagues who have come to invest in our country. And I hope this is the last generation that will allow for that. Why would First Quantum Minerals be having 50% in Panama and 50% in South Korea and 85% in Solwezi?
Dr. Kasonso, hold that thought. Our viewers, today will be playing a number of videos. And from those videos, you're going to listen to them. And you might not watch the videos, but you're going to listen to the sound. And then I'll be asking Dr. Kasonso to comment on them. The first video is going to be on Vedanta, KCM. I think this should be the chief executive of KCM in 2014, in Bangalore, India. Let's listen to this video. Our viewers, I'm so sorry that this video is it looks like you can't hear the audio. But let me just summarize this video. This is the chief executive of Vedanta talking to people in Bangalore in India. And what he was saying is, we've bought one of the biggest mines with the largest mineral reserves in Zambia. And we only bought it for $25 million. And guess what? In the first year, we've made a profit of $375 million. And the fellow Indians are crapping. Over to you, Dr. Kasonso. I'm so sorry, our viewers. We having some network problems. Hope Dr. Kasonso will sort out um, network problems. Honorable Nkwilimba, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Chilufya.
Yeah. So Bakasonso is having a bit of problems, but I just want you to comment on that video. I'm sorry the sound was bad, but this is the chief executive of Vedanta. He's saying, he's bragging that they only paid 25 million cash to buy, KCM, and guess what? They made 375 million dollars in the first year.
Chilufya, this is what I was saying yesterday. Listening to that gentleman saying what he's saying, he's literally laughing at us Zambians. He's laughing at our leaders. He's full. It's unbelievable, but that's the truth. He came to Zambia, and it's like he found the Dao people, sleepy people, who just gave away Zambian resources to him. And there he is, he's boasting that within the first year, he made 300, is it $300 million?
$375 million.
Can we imagine that? And that's the person, that's the company that still wants to come back and continue to milk our country. I hope that, and I really trust that, I trust the president, that what Vendetta did in the past is not going to repeat itself on our soil. It is immoral, for us, for our leaders, to sell our resources at a song. And the person who buys it makes millions and millions of dollars at our expense. It's unbelievable. It's unacceptable. It must change going forward.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Nkwilimba. And this happened under the Mwanawasa government. And despite Nkwilimba, despite us giving them our natural resource, our main source of income for free, at least they should have said thank you, and then at least do something. But this company didn't even care. All they wanted is getting as much money as possible from Zambia. They didn't care about helping the community. They didn't sponsor anybody. All they did was pollution, and they were cooking the figures.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to pay tax. And this is why I always say, let's not talk about tax when we are dealing with investors, because tax can be, there's tax evasion and tax avoidance. Tax evasion is illegal, but tax avoidance is legal. And these guys can use experts. They can pay experts money, millions of dollars, just to avoid paying tax to Zambia.
Exactly.
So the way forward, and I agree with you. I trust HH. This HH who made me to support him. The first time I had a meeting with him through Mr. Chipakpak, I knew that this man, from once he becomes a president, Zambia will be a different place. And we cannot afford to Vendetta to continue doing what they were doing when they come back.
Not at all.
Not at all. And this is why I agitate for the Botswanan formula. I think the way forward with Vendetta is to go 50-50. So once we go 50-50, which means we're going to have 50% of senior managers in Vendetta, 50% of the board, so that we can monitor what they are doing, so that they cannot steal. Because at the moment, they are showing something, what the World Bank, United Nations and World Bank are showing different figures. And they are giving us different figures because they don't want to pay tax. They don't want to pay more royalties. So at the end of the day, Zambia is losing.
What I don't understand is that I thought that there are some Zambians who are representing Zambia in Vendetta in one way or another. Were they really not aware of what Vendetta were doing?
I'll tell you this: there are very few, and what these companies are doing, like Vendetta, they started bringing Indians as senior managers, for and and most of them engineers, because we need to have, like in Botswana, when you go to De Beers, it's 50-50%. So once we've got the presence of Zambians 50% in senior management, nobody's going to cook the figures. But we've got few Zambians who are in there, who are senior, and who knows, they can easily bribe them. They can easily do, or they cannot even, when they are calculating the figures of production, they will make sure that there is no Zambian who sees that. And then when they are exporting, they will make sure that there is no Zambia who sees the export volumes. So this is why we need the 50-50 in senior management and the 50-50 at the board, because it's a joint venture. And this is how Botswana has succeeded, and other countries. We've got Dr. Kasonso back. Let me bring him back, and I'm gonna put you to
Chilufya.
Welcome back, Kasonso.
I need to say this publicly. I think someone doesn't like what I'm saying, and they are playing with my connection. When wako internet yako America idesha na rumba.
Don't worry about that, Kasonso. We'll talk about that later. But Kasonso, I was just discussing with Mr. Nquilimba. Mr. Nquilimba.
But first quantum, they need to pay the dues to Zambia.
Let's stop now. Yeah. So that video, this is the chief executive of Vedanta bragging in Bangalore in India, 2014. I saw this video a while ago, but Mr. Nquilimba sent it to me last night that I should play it. But the volume is very, very bad. So they bought that asset, our priced asset, for only 25 million. And he was bragging, we paid cash. Within 1 year, they made a profit of $375 million. And this is a company that treated Zambians and Zambia like we are stupid. They didn't pay tax. They didn't do anything. What's your comment, Kasonso, before we go to the next question?
Well, I substantively didn't hear whatever you were saying. I hope you can.
Can you put your video there? I think we seem to be having a problem with Dr. Kasonso. I don't know what's happening. Okay, Womkeleba, I'll bring you back later. Dr. Kasonso, you back. Okay, Dr. Kasonso, I've listened to that video before, and I was listening to it.
We have been hacked by First
No.
They
Let's
need to
stop.
pay the right
No.
in the Republic of Zambia. We have the numbers here.
Let's continue,
We have to read the numbers to the people.
Kasonso, let's continue. We're talking about that video of Vedanta. So I've given you a summary. The summary is the guy was bragging in Bangalore that we bought the mine for $25 million cash. And within a year, we made a profit of 375 million. Over to you.
But okay, nshumfuye nefu mwachipsha but mule I first company I refo kubera ku Zambia.
Yes.
Yes. If a company refo kubera ku Zambia ni Vedanta, not Vendetta. Yes. Vendetta is a grudge. So Vedanta. The people of Zambia, particularly the PF, they have a grudge against Vedanta. So the PF and their supporters, and even some Zambians who this company hurt, they have a vendetta against Vedanta. So the company
most of us,
even including you, you have a vendetta against Vedanta.
Vedanta, yes.
Vedanta. so Vedanta. Yes, the company's name is Vedanta. Vedanta didn't conduct themselves as a mining corporation in Zambia. They made a lot of mistakes in Zambia. If you take Anglo-American and you go back to the UNIP days, you will find similar complaints, particularly that which caused even the Zambian government to nationalize the mines was that they didn't like the conduct of Anglo-America. So I don't want to draw a parallax between the two companies. But every investor, when they come to your country, what they want to do is to invest in your country on specific terms. And those are the terms that matter. But those terms are not eternal until Jesus Christ comes. They can be changed if circumstances change. And they can be renegotiated if governments change. What we've had so far with this type of industries we have in Zambia operating in the sector, is like they treat the contracts they signed with the previous government as if it's the Bible. No, that's not the case. They can be renegotiated because the 21st century is a place of shared benefits. You cannot come to a poor country and take everything. Nakayamba Kasonso ku Washington takamuleke akulalanda puferionsina mwachitaki kashoka. So, but anyway, let's talk about Vedanta. Vedanta made mistakes, but Vedanta invested money in the Republic of Zambia, invested money in KCM. Vedanta has a legitimate financial claim to that asset, and go into any court outside of Zambia, they will tell you the same. And because of that, Vedanta can increase your external debt, which at this point we've been told is a little over $30 billion or going up and stuff like that. You know, abale take chalwale pepa fwaka no asana vodka so bale kongola indiscriminate. So anyway, that's the situation we have. So now, how do you navigate this financial situation? So this financial situation has to be navigated in two ways. The political situation will tell you, Chilufya, that do not allow Vedanta back in the Republic of Zambia because they failed to operate the assets. And that's why the PF government took it over from them. But we know that the PF government, they were empty heads, with empty heads. Because when you are dealing with a multinational company, the responsibility is not just to yourselves there in the Republic of Zambia where you are. You have responsibilities to the international global business community. So you have to kick them out in a manner that do not just comport with your laws in the country, but also comports with global business laws. And unfortunately, the PF, those things they never used to pay attention to. You know, I've said that numerous times. So that Vedanta company has legitimate claims to that asset in the global economy. So now how do you navigate that? Some commentators have said, hey, but Vedanta takuli kubaleta kona pa table. Let Vedanta not come even talk to us. Vedanta were bad people, and they even write essays with the things that they did bad. Yes, the things that they did bad, document them and have them. But don't use that directly and transpose to the fact that that makes them lose the right to the asset. Business doesn't work like that. They invested in Zambia. If they need to come back and they want to come back, this new government is on a new platform. They are in a position to renegotiate the terms of their return. First of all, if you try to sideline them and just remove them outrightly, whichever guy you are going to bring in is going to be mindful that there are contingent liabilities related to Vedanta. So they will not come. They will not come. And who will suffer? It's the country, it's the asset, and it's the people. So how do you resolve that? So put them as players on the table. If they are players on the table, you can listen to what they want. You can listen to what they want to do. And then based on the new terms and conditions, you can allow them either to come in and operate the asset on your terms, on new terms, or you can allow them to retain a stake in the new investment portfolio that government can create. But to think that Vedanta does not have a stake in the Republic of Zambia is both academic and professional and business foolishness, and we cannot venture into that. So when you see this president is talking to them, it's because this president understands business. We would not know Haga Inde Hichilema, His Excellency, today, except for his business acumen, except for his business portfolio, business skills. So, ngamwachita haya businessman baturuke atero mitekera kwechalo tala tsana negotiate fintu mwaya pa street mwaya pa internet mule mutuka mule mbele na maese mule mutsenasha. No. The president said this, and the people of Zambia need to listen to him. He said, don't shout at us, talk to us. So if you've got something to say, write to the president and tell him. Don't come Pakwetu, or don't come pa internet. No kwambo kusala kata mafacts to half baked. Abadi mukati mulebe shiba mafacts. That Vedanta can go and ask, because of the manner they were kicked out, they have rights within the global business law to go and ask for not only the value of the asset, but everything they have lost since the plus reparations on top, what we call an indemnity, putting them in a position they should have been if they were operating the company. If the judge rules that in another country, Zambia has got more billions in debt on our stocks. Where on earth are you going to run a country like that? So Vedanta must be heard. We are not saying Vedanta is an angel. We don't even need to say, hey, Vedanta have reformed, they can come back. No, we don't use church language in business. In business, we look at the bottom line. Which option of the two gives the financial benefits to the country? And I can entreat my people in the Republic of Zambia, if there is a guy we can trust to make that decision, is called the HHG Bali Wabantu. Give the guy a chance. Thank you.
Kasonso, that's fantastic. You've seen the letter that was written by one of the political party presidents, Slavwe. You know, Kasonso, there is a potential for the return of Anglo-America and Vedanta to Zambia. We've been talking about it after historical implications, and you've mentioned some of that before. So what are the current issues at hand, specifically on that letter written by Mr. Slavwe. Over to you, Dr. Kasonso.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chilufya. You can see that the president of that small political party has a heart for his country. Has a heart for his country, and he cares for his country. But the only considerations he had were political ones. He didn't have the business ones. You understand what I'm saying? This company was hated by the people. It polluted this, it did this, therefore it can't come. And then, what is the cost of that decision? He didn't tackle that in his article. And me, as the owl of the people, sitting at the top of a tree, somewhere near the Washington, I'm saying, no, Mr. President. That company can impose a severe cost on the country and restrict future investment. Whilst we are in this bubble where copper is making sense for both the creation of bombs, now that there is a war, which we, by the way, we didn't need, now that there is a boom with the electric vehicles and all those kind of things. Business is about negotiations. You let people cut a deal. Yeah, so what I could say about the Honorable President is to say that, yes, the political considerations tell us that Vedanta should not come back to Zambia. But let's not make a decision just on the basis of politics, because the mines are a business. And we have had a situation where a company leaves Zambia and the government comes back and celebrates, hey, we have taken the mine off from those people. Hey, they've gone, Glencoe. But if you go and read that contract, the way we accountants, we accountants read the numbers, the winner in that is Glencoe. Because whereas the government has got title to the mines, all the money they are making out of that mine is going to Glencoe. That is a kind of business foolishness we cannot repeat in this republic. And people are unemployed in the country. The supply chains in the mines are damaged because of poor decisions. We don't make business decisions using political considerations alone. I remember there was a program on ZNBC when I was a teenager. It used to be called Top Business. And they brought on one of my heroes. He was called Ronald Damson Siame, Penza.
Ronald Penza.
He talked about how he started his business. Yes, he talked about how he started the business, but he said a statement that I've never forgotten from my teenage years to this very day. Penza said, you don't run business with your emotion, you run business with your head. Yeah, so that's what we do here, Chilufya. Concerning the decisions on the mines, let us be sober and leave the president and his people alone to make the decisions with their head, not with their emotions. There's a lot of money hanging around there. The other thing I wanted to say to you, Chilufya, is this. The mining sector is highly capital intensive. The reason why we don't have I've never watched it grow in Ndola to go and own Bwanamukubwa is because the money that went into building Watch It Grow cannot survive investments in Bwanamukubwa. The mines are capital intensive projects. You cannot survive the mines without these international companies. And these corporations are very treacherous organizations. If you just go to them and piss them off, they can also shut you down in another area on the global economy because business around the world is interconnected. So Zambia is lucky. I feel good for the people of Zambia today. Zambia is lucky to have a president who understands business, not only local business, but global business. So, guys, what Ebola. But renegotiate my contracts. That's what we are proposing here on TVBakwetu. You have heard from other stations, but our position is guys but Ebola never pay take. Bari kwa tama skills ya kusarani chichalo. Nama mines bala kontolola. Thank you.
Yeah, you spot on, Dr. Kasonso. I for one, has confidence in our chief marketing officer and as well as our chief negotiator, President Akainde Ichilema. And not
But,
long ago,
but
last week, he
sorry,
was at
that's one point. One point. Ulia chief marketing officer, mnamkali jacket mulia. Bimbi alasendana ka calculator. Beware, he was a supervisor of accountants. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Bakasonso, last week he was at the mining Indaba in South Africa, and you could see how important Zambia is on the global market when it comes to mining. So we trust him. So let's move on, Bakasonso. Some pro-government commentators showed a lot of excitement about the 1.2 billion investment pledge by the First Quantum Minerals. You know, we've already talked about it. They own Sentinel Mine, which is Lumwana, and Kansanshi Mines in Solwezi. What does this entail?
Chilufya futhi balashimira First Quantum, balashimira internet case. Tamulefa kukula ipusha hapo pali vena, tamulefa tulela ndapo. Anyway, muleke kushakala kalipinda kakulubemba tukupendera mani, ukupendere nkoko mumani.
I know it. Before they are arched.
That's what that investment. Takuwabo kupendela inkoko mumani. Takuwabo kupendela inkoko mumani. You don't count the hens or the chickens once they are in the egg, because sometimes you need a familiar vola. So if pledge bapangile, it's very good. It's very good. It's very good. But we have to look at the details of that pledge. Does that include ile electricity company bale fokupanga iya kweba tibelapo kama light kuli bazesco bale ipangira ma light elo bale ilipira bene. Is that part of it? That's one. Two, does that include, is that investment in a new mining or in an expansion of the copper according to the objectives of our government? We talk about the objectives that we raise to 3 million metric tons. And what the government wants to do is to put up the 3 million metric tons of copper out of Zambia every year. So, yeah, because you see, by investor value shupa, if you look at the details, I'm an accountant. Let me call myself the super accountant. I'm a super accountant. Kuti vamie vati vakati invest $1 billion iyo. Eno mwaza sanga fati fimi yoto kawefinga 4. If you are kwimba copper mumugodi umawine. And the impact on the labor market is nothing. The impact on the job and employment market is nothing. Because if you talk 4, nifika fe employer ma people 4, bakola chinyana ma shifts naba nabo, all the shifts nishi $1.2 billion Murifi machine 4, and people operating those 12 because of my shift to option. So employment creating. So you have to look at the details of this suggested and proposed investment. We haven't seen those details.
Our viewers, it looks like whenever we talk about First Quantum, our internet disappears. Welcome back, Dr. Kasonso. What's happening whenever we talk about First Quantum?
Every time I talk about the First Quantum, those guys have built a mine in my grandmother's village. That's where that mine is. The
and Bakasonso, hold that thought.
So we have got deep. They should give me a call and negotiate rather than them canceling my show like that.
Bakasonso, hold that thought. just a clarification to our viewers. First Quantum Minerals on Sentinel Mine and Kansanshi Mines, and they are both in Solwezi. Go ahead, Dr. Kasonso.
I think posting to question
No.
per Facebook.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Kasonso?
Parent phone number and our first quantum, but my phone.
Okay, can you hear me? Bom Kelebai. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. We seem to be having problems with Dr. Kasonso. Yeah. What's your comments about anything we've talked about?
I'm not an accountant and I'm not into the mining industry, but what I can only tell you is that we should have trust in our government and they are going to make the right decisions. And I know for the fact that we have been beaten once or twice. Therefore, we are very careful this time around on what kind of conditions we intend to give or the benefits we intend to give to any to the prospective investors that will come and invest in our mines. So, and also the issue, the question I had was, is this Vendetta? Is it Vendetta? Are they? Is their matter not in court? If so, why are we discussing about this matter when it is in court?
No,
are we not?
No.
And
no, the matter has been the court proceedings have been stopped on mutual respect.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are saying let's stop the proceedings and come on the table and negotiate.
Okay.
So that's where we are at the moment.
So,
okay.
Meaning they are coming back.
No, it's not a must that they are coming back. Their license has been suspended. They don't have a license to operate in Zambia. So for them to come back, then they have to be negotiations. And this is what we're talking about. On what terms should they come back? Other people like PF and other political parties, like one of the political party presidents, Silavwe, they are saying Vendetta shouldn't be allowed to come back. But then it's going to cause a lot of problems because they've taken the Zambian government to court, and the tribunal in South Africa ruled in their favor. So so we can't just say go. But then if they have to come back, we're not talking about angels here, you know. And we cannot say they've reformed. So if they have to come back, then they have to come back under very strict conditions. And this is what we are debating here. Okay.
Yes.
Keleba, I'm going to remove you and see if I can bring somebody else while we are trying to bring Kasonso. Madam Memory Mutambo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Any comment on what we're talking about?
It is so interesting, I can say, because this is now when I'm learning how the mine industry is being operated, especially on the business aspect. I didn't have any crew, So by looking at what has been tabled out is something very interesting, and I would even encourage every young person to take interest in such issues, because we just hear, no, this investor came in, they have done this, they have done that, but not knowing exactly what is really involved in it. So it's quite very educative, I can say, and it's quite interesting, and I'm here to hear more. If at all the same investor will still come back and follow the new terms which they will be given. I think that's what I can say.
Yeah, at the moment, it's our current government are negotiating with Vedanta, to come to a mutual arrangement on what conditions they should come back. And do you think our current government are going to do the right thing where Vedanta is concerned? Do you have confidence in our current government?
Yeah, on the I have confidence in our current government based on that our president is coming from the business background. So
Fantastic.
I feel the government has they have what it takes to make the right decision based on that. So I do trust, yes, I do trust the president because he knows the business aspect of anything and the economy of the country. I think we will be safe. We'll be safe. That's what I can say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I myself have so much confidence in Mr. President, and I believe whatever is gonna do or negotiate, it's gonna be in the best interest of the 18 million Zambians. Okay, Memory, I'm gonna put you back to to the background, and then I might bring back Bonkwirimba. Bonkwirimba, are you still there?
I'm here. Thank you, Patrick.
It's like Vendetta is messing up with Bakasons.
Exactly. One thing, as much as we are discussing the current mines that are operational, I was hoping that we would look at the potential. There are many other places that could be mines anytime now, and the government. I mean, there are a lot of people that have been given licenses to explore and own mines. And as Dr. Kasonso said, mining is capital intensive. And it seems we can only, I mean, my question is, should we really only depend on foreign investors, to help us with that capital intensive investment in our country?
No.
Is there no way that, within
No.
Zambia, we can get that capital to begin to exploit the other
No,
potential?
we can do that, Mr. Nkwilimba. Botswana, they didn't need the capital to do the mines in the Botswana mine, the diamond mine in Botswana. What the Swanas did was, you coming to mine the minerals that belong to the Swanas, you're gonna bring the capital. We're gonna give you the minerals. You understand what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Because imagine how much are those minerals worth. So bring the capital, we'll put the minerals, and then we go 50-50. So the Botswanan government did not put not even a cent. Because I'll give an example. Vendata, whatever they call them, they bought the mine for 25 million. Obviously, they invested another maybe 100 million. And then what did they make in the first year?
375 million.
Profit. So what we could have done with Vendata was to say, come, we've got this asset, huge asset, 50-50. Bring your capital, 50, because the minerals belong to the Zambians. These are the mistakes we've made, and we shouldn't be able to make them going forward. Even some of the mines that are running now, they were negotiated by previous governments, like Vedanta was so bad under Mwanawasa government, the so-called New Deal government. How do you sell such minerals reserves for 25 million? So even some of the decisions that have been made, the contracts that were made in the past, can be renegotiated. But the most important thing is the UPND policy. You're UPND, I'm UPND. The policy says going forward it should be 50-50%, which means the other 50% can be found by Zambians or other, not necessarily the government owning that. Zambians can come together, raise the money, and invest in the mine and running together. Or we say we go the Botswana way. We've got the minerals. You bring the capital. We go 50-50. It's like you own land, and then somebody come and want to come and farm on that land. You can use the land as collateral, as your investment, and then somebody brings the capital. You go 50-50 or 40-60. So why should we pay for our minerals?
Exactly. But the other question I have is, when you look at many people that are being given mining licenses, I don't see much capacity to manage the process of inviting foreign investors and making those negotiations so that the investors bring in the capital, and the local mine owners have the resources. What do you think should be done really to prepare those people that are getting mining licenses, and yet they may not even have the capacity to manage the process of operationalizing those mines?
You've heard the Minister of Mines. I think they've suspended issuing mining licenses. Yeah. So I think the starting point should be whoever is given a license. I think they should have the capacity to do mining or to negotiate with other investors to go into mining 50-50%. Or the government through the Ministry of Mines or other government agencies should support them, to do that. We've got a lot of government agencies that can support them. Dr. Kasonso has just come back. I'm going to put you in the background. Dr. Kasonso.
Amen. More the spirit of Vankamba Mushala is upon me. How would Mushala feel when QFM is digging minerals in Kansanshi and Rumwana and they're leaving nothing there? You would send them back to their country. You would send them back to their country.
Yes, Sentinel.
Yes. Yes. Sentinel, yes. And the Sentinel, that's Rumwana.
Okay. Okay, let's move on, Kasonso. I'm gonna play a video of let's hope this video now, our viewers will listen to it.
Since the privatization of the mines in Zambia almost 30 years ago, there has been speculation of inaccurate reporting of mining declarations, which has fueled the strange...
Can you hear it? Can the viewers hear that?
For example, during a government state visit to China in 2018, the Zambia delegation became aware of significant quantities of cobalt there. The Chinese company stated that it was sourced from KCM in Zambia. The Zambia Daily Mail reported that cobalt imports by the company were at least $20 million per month. This revelation caught the Zambian delegation by surprise, and efforts were made to verify the cobalt export transactions. This is just one of many examples that persist in the mining industry that deny Zambians of their rightful revenue, which could be utilized to drive sustainable socioeconomic development. Instances of these irregularities are documented extensively in reports such as the United Nations UNACTAD 2020 report titled Tackling Illicit Financial Flows for Sustainable Development in Africa. In this report, it cites that Zambia alone represented 65% of trade misinvoicing in copper, and further cites that it accounted for 14.5 billion during the period 1995 to 2014. Over the next few minutes, we will utilize the reputable United Nations trade data source, ComTrade. It reports both the reported exports and partner country imports of commodities to illustrate the actual differences. Furthermore, and more importantly, we will elaborate on how driving mining sector accountability will positively impact the lives and welfare of Zambia and Zambians. The United Nations ComTrade data portal records both the reported exports from the originating country and partner imports to the recipient country. The database captures fields such as the commodity, the HS code, quantity, and trade values of the transaction. We will compare the reported exports to imports for specific commodities and trade partners within a refined time period to determine what discrepancies exist, and if so, to what extent. For Zambia, we will focus on China for copper and cobalt, and India for copper during the period 2015 to 2019. It's important to keep in mind that in terms of the major destinations of traditional trade exports, that is the mining commodities, Switzerland is Zambia's largest trading partner, 29%, followed by China, 28%, according to the most recent Zamstats report, volume 220. We begin with China and copper. Between 2015 and 2019, mining companies in Zambia reported 634,000 metric tons of copper exports to China. China reported imports of 1.5 million metric tons. From a percent perspective, the reported Zambian export is only 42%. That's less than half of what China reported as their imports from Zambia. The difference in metric tons is 870,000 metric tons. If today's spot copper price of $9,507 per metric ton was applied to the difference of tonnage, it equates to $8.2 billion in unaccounted for trade. Next, we consider cobalt trade. During the same period, 2015 to 2019, Zambia's reported exports to China of cobalt was 418 metric tons. China's reported imports from Zambia were 14,425 metric tons. This is a difference of 14,006 metric tons. If today's cobalt spot price of $52,350 per metric ton was applied the difference of tonnage, it equates to $733 million in unaccounted for trade. Now we focus our attention on India. During the same period, 2015 to 2019, mining companies in Zambia reported exports of 38,000 metric tons of copper to India. India reported copper imports from Zambia of 517,000 metric tons. The difference is 478,000 metric tons. If today's copper spot price of 9,507 metric tons was applied to the difference in tonnage, it equates to $4.5 billion in unaccounted for trade. This is just a minute sample of the trade discrepancies, with only two countries and two commodities.
Our viewers and Dr. Kasonso, hope you listen to that program. That program, those figures are coming from United Nations. And let's just talk about Vedanta, India. Vedanta reporting
Vedanta.
Vedanta. Okay, whatever, Kasonso, people knows. Yeah. So the misrecording of Vedanta, 478,000 metric tons. So Zambia has lost about 4.5 billion in misrecording. And then when you look at misrecording for Switzerland, Zambia has lost about $8.2 billion in misrecording. And so which means Zambia has lost about 65% of copper being misrecorded. And the total between 1995 to 2020, Zambia has lost about $14.5 billion. So, Dr. Kasonso, here is a question for you. Concerning the future of mining in Zambia, how can the corporate supervision be improved for the benefit of all stakeholders?
Thank you,
with emphasis to this video we played.
Well, thank you, Patrick, for that brilliant question. I didn't even realize you were coming from that angle, because me, I was coming with a grudge about the feelings how Bankambo Mshala would feel about 600,000 metric tons being dug from one of our villages, and then Waka on nothing. So that's where I was coming at. But thank you for nagging me towards a professional position. Clearly, what we've heard from that video is this. There's a lot of cheating in mining. Part of corporate supervision for these enterprises. Amasoja Navazedarae. They should be part of the personnel supervising the output, my God.
Are you saying we need to be militant?
Okay, atuari nomkuchula wa Zambia. Na kulaika la kuno kuinenderia kwa dama food stamps nangundi Pavlov. No, pakwaka nyobunga tapa Bensoni. The poverty levels in Zambia today are man-made. We have got the goods to dig the country out of poverty. What we don't have are investment partnerships to help our country. And the second thing that we don't have are the structures to assist us in achieving constructive outcomes or constructive outcomes related to positive objectives. So what we need to be doing is monitored by multiple levels of government. And those governments should not shy away from participating in corporate participation, corporate supervision. So Trofa Gawazedara, body alive, Mumi God.
Yeah, just hold that thought.
And today for Ekonama Soja, Epo Badi Palapa property. Pakwaka Nyobunga Tapavenson. We need them to be there. Nawa Kapokolepo Badi. So tule penda wino ne samushi. In fact, navazika mubete kuriyama accountants aba kweta makakireta bale penda nabo independent parties there. So what we know, what that video disclosed is what we have always known. There is a lot of cheating in the mining sector. Companies report losses and all those kind of things because there's no one supervising them. Go to the stock exchange. What is the structure of the corporate supervision? Go to the Ministry of Finance. What is the corporate structure for supervision? It's almost non-existent.
And Kasonso, just to cut you short, what is the government policy or what are the laws that helps Zambia Revenue Authority control transfer pricing? Because it looks like these problems are as a result of transfer pricing. They're transferring these coppers to Switzerland at a lower cost, and then Switzerland sells them at a higher cost.
No, every today and of what Ngana batara kodama quantities at 10 kg copper. People there can even compare 10 kg copper per global market. Let's trade at this price. So that's the price it will leave Zambia. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't worry about transfer pricing if you send the soldiers and the policemen and the ZRA into those mines.
And then don't you think the non-participation of Zambians in the senior management can also lead that to that? Because we don't have a lot of Zambians who are involved.
That is why I don't subscribe to the concept of taxes. Oh, just tax them, tax them, tax them. They are going to give you that when they produce 100 tons, they are going to give you that they produce 13 tons. And you tax them maximum on 13 tons. And you get nothing. Tax lusamushimwe bantu. Ngatomi former accountants for tax. Forget about taxing. Focus on one, output royalties, and supervise output with the army.
So they are stealing from us, royalties.
They are stealing from us, and they have been stealing from us in the last 40 years. But government is not a good businessman. No, government is not a good businessman if the people leading that government were not good businessmen. Now, if not Watako, Hijilema, President was Zambia Chilufya. Nifumu Yabalanda. President Wesu, Aisa Vampera Capoto, Erevasa Muleteka salary. Achale for a punch to Bombera Vapina. Akan Kamanomo over Tonga. Akan Kamana. President of Zambia Nifumu Yabalanda. Abalanda, Bachivale Chula, Navakote Congole, Bachan, Ala Folashani, Bachuvela Folashani, President Ala Folashani. Tell me. Oh no, the president is not collecting his salary. He's not doing it. No, Ala Folashani. President Ari Kankamanefia, the amount of poverty he has found in the country and the amount of poverty he has found. Ari Kankamanefia, Munafroku Fola Potam Birokubomba. Bachelofia. President was a man in Yavalanda. It's not Joe Biden if we have a Kankala, Avena, Antoine Kanyokachan, or this, Avena Bill Gates. No. So, what we need is a proper supervision of the production process. No, Kupenda, ama different divisions here, government, here involved. Because cheating has been going on in the last 40 years, and it's too much. Quite a companies that report losses every year. Number, if you report losses for 5 years, family accountant, if you report losses for 5 years, why are you still in business? You're not a going concern. So, among investors, Mozambique, Fika Walala, whatever, FQM, whatever, Fika Walala. Among investors, Mozambique, Fika Walala. And I mean, Zambia, they're so passive. They're so passive about it. I hope that wherever I'm so flustered today, you know?
Yeah, okay, calm down, Dr. Kasonso. We know what you're saying is true. We've got, and these investors, they must have taken advantage of the corrupt governments we've had in the past.
Ukushishita bena Zambia, ukushishita kwa ifi. I can't do anything with this. You know what I mean?
Just calm down.
You elect a guy to be president. I can't fola because the sanga mafia bupuwa system. Ala folashan. Ala fola in whose interest and for what?
Yeah, let's just look at the comments and the questions from the viewers, Kasonso. Yeah, this is Robbie Chiurulu, must be from Northwestern Province. Yeah, Northwestern people wake up. Mines are for our benefits. It's our land, and we are behind in every development, from roads, almost everything. Yet, foreign investors keep recording profits at our expense. Vulea means Professor Kasonso, Loza Janshi Jamakalala. something like that.
I like your memo of thinking on those are just Jamakara.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Speak about the conversation of tough men.
Mm. Can you see that?
Why move on? Let him finish the proposed deal. Naimwe, we need to learn hard stuff, so whatever. So, is there a regulatory authority for the minerals? There is in Zambia, but they're toothless. Because tabakwata masoja, tabakwata mazedara. Regulatory body, ukuyakule fuminda mchakwa fuiche chalo. If regulatory masoja.
And not only that, we've got statistics department. They need to keep the statistics of the copper
They
sales.
need to incorporate that.
They do.
Yeah, yeah. You know, pakoka nyobungata pa Benson, mwabena Zambia. Inda lamata shaba kwa IMF. Shaba mushi ya fiulu kwa kwini mwikele. But ba mwana mala yambi bali sa mukumirira pa mitwe. Mbatu wala ikala shani wa Zambia. Mwa yo come and develop your country. Sha iseko. I'm not coming. Ungana isoko eronde sunetu bale tulia pa mitwe. And I'm going to join that. No. I'm coming, yes. When tatulesuminisha mwana wale yambi kuturira pa mitwe. Omwana shopa nowe bankambo wa mushala. Thank you. You see that the counter man, he wants me back there. We see, keep saying that. Bring back Dr. Kasonso. And yeah. First quantum, batu warara. I've gone inside their world and I came out of it. First quantum. First quantum I go to Japamitu. In this country, we have biggest companies, Apple, Amazon. Their employees have stocks in their company. And even First Quantum, their employees outside of Zambia have stock in their other company. Why aren't the Zambians having stock in their company? They think you're stupid people. Amunge na yako kona kebishinka byonse First Quantum byakabwera mu kubaina nje.
Look, I'm just looking at the comments and the questions. What can you say about that comment?
In as much as we have confidence in the president, miners have a history of being betrayed by politicians. Yeah, that's what we are saying. You know, when big companies operate and they are earning profits, First Quantum has been operating in Zambia and has made a lot of money. If you shut down First Quantum Minerals in Zambia today, they will lose nothing. They have already earned back all the money they needed, and they're a richer company because of Zambia. They can even use Zambian resources. First Quantum, you know, they have earned all the resources they need in Zambia. But come from Mendeva for the government needs to be clever and renegotiate their deals. First Quantum was using Zambia. First Quantum didn't have anything in this world. All of a sudden, they are purchasing properties in Korea. They purchase them. They purchase properties in Panama. But even in there, they don't allow them to own everything. They only own half of them. Why are they owning everything in Zambia, Nanchi? Why are they doing that? This question I'm not only asking them, I'm also asking the president. Why is First Quantum Minerals using Zambian resources to, over the years, buying everything all over the world, and they're not even owning everything from there, but in Zambia, they're owning everything. Anebo na Zambia mwako samani, anebo baka onde mwako samani, mpa hii mata, nsaku ya koko, nakeba pangawe piba inanji.
Kasonso, look at this one. One of the richest guys in the world, the one who is involved in electric cars, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, admitted that in the recent interview that he raised most of his capital through emerald deals from Zambia.
I'll tell you something else for free. One of the jobs I did was to work for the largest state in this country as an auditor. And then I was going through the list of what they call unclaimed property. Amabuwas vale sende finto kumishkumwesu vale sakuno kusunga no kufa bafwa palas no buteko bwapoka fya buteko fya kwa California necharo chali no. Do you understand what I'm saying? Walu shamuli muli unclaimed property amashina mulipo ni Pieta Maris bota what shani uko ya mabuwaza mabunu aba ebunu alina bunu. They put everything here. And then they even died and no one was there to claim it. The government collected it. It's part of the wealth of the state and part of the wealth of the nation. Impia wa government walefu atashiri kwa IMF. I agree na wa PF. Impia wa government walefu ashiri ku Zambia. On that one, I agree with wa PF on that one. But in the shirikwisa wa PF balefu kuya mkupoke ndalama. Okubonfia ma taxes. Ma taxes temu wa vendalama. Because if you reduce the revenue, the revenue is actually 100. Ewa washa revenue is actually 20. Tax yala are based on 20. So the 80 will not be taxed. So don't use tax as an excuse. What you need to do is simple. Base it on output and let that output be supervised by the military. I'm a soldier base. Bera block a favor Congolese per border. But many minds. Very support our dependa output.
Okay, Dr. Kasonso, what about this guy saying auditing mining rights is now done and the report is ready? We're bringing back credibility in this sector. What do you think about that?
I have nothing to think about that until I've read the report. In my field, we trust, yes, but we trust only until after we verify. So I have to read the finding first.
Okay, let's get some before we close. We should be closing in the next 10, 15 minutes. Let's just get the views of if there's any question from our panelists, Bakwetu family members. Mr. Kwirimba, any questions to Dr. Kasonso before we close?
I really don't have any question. You know what I'm shocked about is you know what you have that clip has tabulated. You know how much has been reported by Zambia and what has been reported in India and also in China. And that's the same thing like what happened with the Mukula trees.
Yes.
You know, Zambia recorded almost nothing, and China are telling us a different story. So this, you know, it's really, you know, to say the least, it's heartbreaking to see how we are being robbed as a country.
Daylight
robbery, and it has been going on for years.
Yeah, it's from 1995
So
to
there's no
2020, 25
exactly
years.
the poverty that we have in this country can be blamed
Money.
on daylight robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been watching as Zambians, and really, I'm appealing. You know that word. I'm appealing.
I'm appealing, yeah.
I'm
Yes,
appealing.
I remember, yeah.
I'm appealing to the president of the Republic of Zambia
Yes.
that he ends this nonsense
Yes.
of foreigners robbing Zambia during the daylight. This has got to stop. There's no reason why we should be poor, as Zambians, why Zambians should be so poor in the midst of plenty. We are tired of talking. We want action.
Yes.
We want action. I am appealing to President Hakainde Hichilema and his government. Let's begin to act to protect our resources for the benefit of Zambians. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nkwilimba. Imagine
what 14... I am on your knees and I am on the floor. Thank you.
Dr. Kasonso, I'm going to allow you at the end to make final remarks. Imagine what 14.5 billion Zambia has lost in the last 25 years would have done to the Zambian economy. That's your closing remark, Kasonso.
Thank you.
Mukelebai, 2 minutes. Any closing remarks or questions?
No, thank you very much, Brother Kasonso, for such a passionate tabulation of our economical status. It's quite sad, especially when you look at the mine sector and how we have been taken advantage of. But my concern is not the foreigners. My concern is about us ourselves, who have chosen to give a blind eye. And for as long as we have our share in our individual capacity, we forget about the consequences, the effects that the monies that is taken away from our country is going to cause to our people. This, I agree with Kasonso that this poverty, it's a man-made poverty. We actually ought to have avoided this a long time ago. Had we have focused leaders, had we have people that are very loyal, that are patriotic to the country, that are not liars, that speak the truth. It's a sad development to hear that that kind of money that we lost. And here we are, even with the meager resource that we get from either borrowing, we are still busy struggling, paying. And people, you see how rich they are individually. They are richer than the government themselves, people that we entrusted to come into power. So to me, that I am not gonna blame a foreigner. A foreigner or these foreign investors, when they come, they find an opportunity and they see that people are not, they claim to be educated, but they're not doing anything. Even me, I'll take advantage because I'm a businessman. I want to make profit. So I can go and buy a yacht. So definitely they're taking advantage of us. Now the onus is on us, Zambian. What are we doing about it? Can't we run our own minds? If we can, how can we do it? Do we trust each other? So trust is the most important aspect because we have no trust even in our leaders. The only person that we have hope for is this gentleman and his team. We just hope that we have suffered a lot and that he's going to bring some kind of sanity in all sector, not just the mines, in all sectors of our economy, that we can have a better Zambia and leave the Zambia to the future generation smiling, not where the generation are going to blame us.
Thank you, Dr. Mukelevai. Madam Memory Mutambo, any comments, any questions to Dr. Kasonso before we close?
Okay, I would just want to thank Dr. Kasonso for highlighting and giving us a clear insight of what is happening in the mining sector. And also, I'll just urge all Zambians. I feel like leaving everything in the hands of the government alone, especially our president, we are all pointing to him to say, no, he has to do this, he has to do that. But if us on the ground, we just fold our hands, then I'm sure it will be very unfair to him. So we have got also our role to play. I think we need to wake up and see how best we can hold hands with his vision so that we can move our economy further. I feel if we do that, our country will be different. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Memory Mutambo. Dr. Kasonso, I'll allow you to comment on that. Let's go to Nikki. Nikki, what's your comment about this, or a question to Dr. Kasonso?
Thank you, Patrick. Good evening and good afternoon, Dr. Kasonso. Good evening to other panelists. First of all, I want to commend you for bringing such an important topic on this platform. This is a matter that every concerned Zambian should be interested in, because this is what defines this country. This is what defines this country. And I believe its time has come when Zambians need to be involved. Zambians need to be involved in the resources of this country, the God-given resources of this country. I think so many mistakes have been made. It's now time to correct those mistakes now and going forward. I think Dr. Kasonso and yourself, Patrick, you've tried so much to explain some of the things that so many Zambians may not be aware of. And I'm very happy that we have a leadership and the president who's got this business acumen to manage this sector. And one of the issues that he raised, I think, when he was attending the mining indaba in South Africa, he talked about this government is scanning around the region and other parts of the world to see what models are working well. And I think for me, that should give us the comfort and the reason to trust this government. Because like you've rightly put it, Patrick, if Botswana has got mines and they've managed to yield so many benefits out of the resources that they have, why should we fail as Zambians? We have intelligent minds like yourself, Dr. Kasonso, and many others. Why should we fail? Hence, the core is, let's take interest in what is happening in our country. The issue of Vedanta, we should not leave it to the government. Let's speak until the government hears what we want to happen. If anything, this subject, bring it back on another day and let's dwell on it if possible. Let's have someone from within the realms of government to try and explain to the Zambians so that people know what this government wants to do. Because we have the confidence from what the president has told us. They are scanning and they are looking at which is the best model we can take. the Botswana model has been spoken about. And I think once we take that route, this country will never be the same. Thank you, Chilufya.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Kasonso, your closing remarks.
Well, thank you everybody for watching TVBakwetu today. This was one-on-one with Dr. Kasonso. I am the Dr. Kasonso. What we talked about today was business developments in the mining sector. We wanted to inquire into the return of Anglo-America. Anglo-America has just purchased shares in a company, and then through that company, they're going to be participating. And we talked about the return of Vedanta, which has issues with the Zambian people based on their relationship with the previous government. And in the new government, we are saying, hey, government, please, 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 don't enter into the Glencore type of agreement where this government is accumulating new debt. We have to accommodate Vedanta as one of us because they invested in Zambia. Even if they fail to run things, government through policy can guide them. So if that is the route, let's take it. Or if Vedanta can return an interest, then we find an investor. Let's take also that route. That is also a feasible issue. We have refused to be seduced by First Quantum Minerals saying, oh, they will invest $1.23 billion. You know, that could be just 4 machines, 2 in Kansanshi and 2 in Quantum in Sentinel. And those machines will have only 4 operatives per shift, multiplied by the shifts. That's 12 people working on those machines. Yes, they will increase productivity, but they will not increase the number of Zambian people who are being employed. So the devil on that is in the details. So we have to be able to look at the details and stuff like that. And then our people here on our own show, they have taught us tremendous things about the future of mining in Zambia. That mining is what created what is today known as, in those days it was Northern Rhodesia. Today it's called the Republic of Zambia. Mining is what created that. The politics of Zambia about mining. In the last 40 years, tatuliamu na mfumu migodi. Fiari chepe fetuliamu. Why? Because tubike fipuba muteko. And iliyo ndera ndati fipuba nshire tukabashifo yawe. Nde tukamano yavo. Haya kupele migodi. Pakamutengwa kanono. Na in other cases, pakamutengwa kalutu. Apo pena apo fili wapokele masele kuli febana babo because iliaya ali inheritance yesu but bali tushapalo wala kwa sana mumfya fya balungwana mukufa emikalire because migodi bali shire bali tungwe. I would be glad to be in Zambia. I would be glad to be operating in Zambia, doing my whatever in Zambia, where I can work without racism. I can work without police looking at my skin and all those kind of things. But to because if you buy so and another thing, but the abachilanga kamula basokoti bali ntamfya pasho yandi maka ama hackers baba First Quantum Minerals inendi mushukuru wa mshala tatujimba kusolwezi. And ask everybody who graduated at certain number of years, mama 70s and whatever. Kwali kona chopola. That's my father. Nebukayamba Kasonso, the son of Newton Kasonso. When he came to Sanfia, they called him Ipakamwisonde. I am his firstborn son. Tatujimbo lubuli yawe ngakulwa n'obuteko kulwa nabo ngakulwa n'amasoja kulwa nabo ngokwete fena ife n'abakwete mfuti still kulwa nabo kweyamguba ponona. What we are saying is this: the investors who are coming to Zambia are not taking this country for granted without any voice. We will speak into the soul of our nation, and to the extent that we can read the numbers, we will talk about them. First Quantum Minerals cannot have a balance sheet total equivalent to the GDP of Zambia before they bought the mines in Korea and before they bought the mines in Panama, and they tried to pretend as if Zambia is nothing to them. First Quantum Minerals is the largest company we have in Zambia. Kunoko America not the largest companies, including Amazon. Amazon workers, so why? Because the workers there. But got mama shares in the company. Ama shares babulu and bakaonda mulengisha ku Sentinel. Kujiko ba Kirengi, ne bakwabo kokwa na ku masala kokwa. The first one. Well, what shares do they have in that company? They don't even have the shares in the soul of the company. And then after you have finished the mining, it's like what happened to Bwanamkubwa. They just leave a dump with green water, and everybody's afraid to go in there. They have to be able to contribute money to the country, and the land, what's going to happen to the land after they have finished the mining. Where are those agreements with government? Tulangeni, tulabelenga ifu tuli ma researchers. Twakulanda definitely kwa tulanga pamulabasa or shanchan stuff like that, but ichi chalo cheso. Bankwelimba bachilanda, baniki bachilanda, mkeleba bachilanda, memory bachilanda. Philosophy bachilanda, nchachista object to anything. So na inewe nina chafe afe mufya banandi bachilanda. Bachilufereta bachilanda sana bachila ipusha fama question. Before the show. But the point is this: the minerals of Zambia have to benefit the people back home in Zambia. We cannot have more than 9 million people without jobs, but they have skills, they have diplomas, they have degrees in their country. Where are we going, Zambia? In the Amatashikuri IMF, they are broke. The broke institution by IMF of Yindarama, Kuma countries have to contribute. Indarama sha Zambia, Shaba ku Zambia. Abali even Indarama sha ku Zambia. Now we at that Vedanta or get away from Kulumbula company. But QFM. So on this show, what I've said is very simple. Let us have an economy of shared benefits. My relatives need a life. I can't be sending Western Union every week. I get paid. There is money in Zambia for my relatives to even send some Western Union to me. Thank you, Chilufya, and see you next week.
We've got Bakwin here. Bakwin, what did you want to say before we close? Hello, Bakwin, can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. What are you saying?
Yeah, there's somebody called Queen, but I can't hear. Okay, she's not saying anything. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Kasonso, Von Kwilimba, Madam Memory Mutambo, Bakwetu family, Bo Mkelevai, and Vaniki. Thank you so much for coming and contribute on this program. Dr. Kasonso, it was such a powerful program, and we shouldn't stop talking. Those minerals belong to Zambia, and Zambians need to benefit from those minerals.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow Zambian suffering, and then foreigners are just siphoning our money, our minerals and money out of Zambia. And then when they come to Zambia, they circumvent or try to bypass our tax laws, or they get involved in dubious tax evasions or avoidance. We're not going to allow that. But the most important thing is we've got leadership in Mr. President HH, and we are confident that something good is going to come out of the negotiations with Vedanta for the benefits of all Zambians, or in the best interest of all Zambians. Thank you so much, all our viewers, wherever you've been watching us globally. May the good Lord bless the Mother Zambia. Thank you so much. Good night and bye for now.
Good night.